Okay, so basically, I chose 5 different places on campus that I feel aren't widely known. And then from there, I tried to ask, or I asked the question, how should UMBC be developed in the future? So, starting with the economic side, well, first, there's 3 different ways I feel that you can design. You either go the economic route, which is new arts and humanities building, which is really, they built it based upon, maintenance, building maintenance, and, just a place where you could learn, Then from there, I have 2 buildings that were historical and had a lot of aesthetic value. You can see with Baltimore Manual Labor School, they had a wonderful Gothic, romantic style building, and I really felt that doing the research, that this was UMBC. This was the first school that was placed on campus by the Stabler family. And they raised 65 boys at once that basically had no future, that were, they called them the vermin of the inner city. So they wanted to shelter these kids, feed them, clothe them, and give them education. They wanted these kids to become active members of society. And that's what I feel UMBC needs to they need to latch on to that whole mentality. It's not just about your profits, it's about what you do with your prosperity and profits. So then from there, this building burned down in 1916, 1917, and eventually the land was bought up, or a portion of it was bought up by Hillcrest, which is Spring Grove Hospital. This was the first, Hillcrest was the first mental insane rehabilitation institution in America. As you can see, it looks like a typical, that's what a college building should look like. It's very UVA looking, and it's neoclassical. And from 1966 to 2000, it housed a lot of the student organizations. And throughout its history, it was always the school always tried to attempt to tear it down. But student unions would fight for keeping the building, and they did until 2007 when it was destroyed. And part of that was because I actually had a person that looked over the proposal to the new Fine Arts building. They added a clause at the end of it saying that if we build the new Fine Arts building, we will also have to tear down Hillcrest. So
you said that's on the Spring Grove campus?
This is separate of Spring Grove. They wanted an area
where was this?
That was away from the hospital. It was in between West Hill, the West Hill buildings.
Oh.
This is Susquehanna right here.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a shame that they had go that route, pork barrel, to its destruction. In the cupola, they actually have at facility management. But the thing is, it's just sitting out in the environment, getting destroyed. It's in this box, and it's an important piece of history.
Have you ever been to the Baltimore Museum of Industry?
Yeah.
And there was a piano manufacturer, the cupola to the building, and now they've put it right in the middle. You can walk through it. It's part of the display.
Well, I was talking to Dr. Marangelo and Dr. Jacobs, who are my 2 advisors, and we're discussing maybe having myself write up a proposal to restore the cupola, because I do restoration. So, and maybe alter it to make it into a gazebo type thing, where it could be used by the students to study, or
drum circle,
just make a collective art space, or just a place where you could create a sense of place.
So why would, devil's advocate here, why would that be important? Why not just recycle it?
It stirs. Well, first off, that means less waste in the thousands of tons of waste that our construction sites dispose of.
Yeah.
And also, it's through restoration and preservation, you create this whole mindset where you think critically and creatively, and that's how you have to think. You can't just think about money and making profits. You have to think about how the community can get involved. And collective memory and collective experience, I feel, is the way that you evolve as human beings. So then from there, the last portion are my two environmental sites. And this is where I really fell in love with sustainability and the whole INDS pathway, because it does these. I helped restore Sarah. I put down a lot of mulch. I cut out a lot of the shrubs, so science of water students and sustainability students could like walk through the pathway and you know, be part of the environment at UMBC. And with Joseph Boy's Sculpture Garden, excuse the typo, I'm just going to admit it, typo. I was doing it in English and not German, so, you know. But anyways, basically, the whole idea was to create rocks that kind of resemble gravestones, but then put a tree next to it that would grow and promote this whole idea of growth rather than decay and death. And I just thought the philosophy by Joseph Boyes, it's wonderful. So I really think we need to get away from the whole profit economic design theory and start incorporating, you know, that's our foundation, we've done that. Now we need to evolve and focus on how are we going to preserve history, aesthetics, the environment, and future buildings. And then the last portion was to mark your own spot or your own space. A website will be up shortly that you can look forward to viewing and writing your sense of place virtually.
That would be great. So these are actual entries here, this list?
Yeah.
1 through 13?
15 actually.
15? Cool. So I have to ask the question. You've mentioned a number of different ways of knowing, a bunch of different disciplines. How's your project interdisciplinary? Why do you have to take, or why do you have to take an interdisciplinary approach to towards, what are you calling this, historic preservation or sense of place?
Sense of place, yeah. Well, first off, it's a combination of public history, then there's documentary photography. It could be any kind of art, really. I just did photography myself. And also kind of like the business aspects. You do have to approach, you know, different people like very, very business-like. You can't just say, hey, I'm some student and I need to like go onto your construction site.
Right.
That doesn't, I had to become EPA certified, I had to bring my hard hat in, my shoes, and then I was able to go take photographs of the new Fine Arts building. But then also the public history, or the documentary photography, that's to visualize the public history, like written portion. Like public history, you need that because you need to get everyone's collective memories together in order to really form a complete picture, you know, with the photographs and the arts. So, you know, it has to be interdisciplinary, or else you just fall short and people won't really get the full grasp of what preservation is, sense of place really is. Any other questions?
What kind of interdisciplinarity is this? There's lots of different kinds, lots of different strategies you can employ.
Well,
what would you call this?
There's definitely a lot of bridging, oh my god, bridging, I did this new one, bridging multi-causal explanation action gap. I basically combined like two different ones together because you have to, there's a cause to this, like there's a cause and there's a gap that you have to fill connecting all three of these different design theories together. Because each one has their own little, you know, specialty basically. You know, because the environmental sustainable way of designing costs a lot. Whereas if you focus on maintenance costs, you know, you lose the whole aesthetics. So you have it's really a bunch of gaps that you have to fill, and you have to explain why each one is the best way of doing it.
As my former boss used to say, Veronica Boix-Mencia said, interdisciplinary work is purposeful. You've got to be very clear about your purpose. So you're saying the purpose of constructing the arts, a LEED certified arts and humanities building is going to be different from constructing a space like the tree garden,
yes,
or Sarah. And so each one calls for a slightly different strategy.
Yep, exactly. You have to. But then, as I said, it's like I feel like just using arts and humanities building as an example. You don't want too much of one thing. I feel there's just too much economics like at play.
Do you need a balance of disciplinary perspectives?
You need a balance. You know, and of course, like external factors are going to make the difference. You know, like funding. Like now we're having a lot of economic hardships. But then that's no excuse when I hear that they got this proposed back when the economics were when the economy was doing really well in 2007. So you can't really. You have to research into this. You can't just accept, oh, times are bad right now. Because, well, wait, we proposed it when it was good. So it's like, that's another thing. You can't take everything, as one layer. You have to dive down into the research.
Okay, so Alex, I noticed you just put something in here. This is about mark your sense of place at UMBC. You were number 16. Can you share about why is this important to mark your special place at UMBC? And what did you do, if you can share? It might be personal. So what did you do?
The commuter lounge in the Commons.
Why is that an important space?
Basically, so I went to Howard Community College before I came here, and I haven't ever really felt like I fit in anywhere except at UMBC. This is the first time I've really found a group of friends that I really feel like I actually fit in with. And so the commuter lounge is like a week after I started coming here, I ran into a friend, and she introduced me to all her friends, and I basically have been there ever since. And it's all these geeky, nerdy people who just welcome me as one of their own, and it's just a really cool place where we can all hang out and be nerdy together.
So, sense of place is connected to sense of community, a place to get together with your tribe, with your community. Great.